have a story to tell. Everyone is different as well. You have something to say. Your story matters too. Your story matters too.
Welcome! I'm Lois Rindlisbacher, and this is the newest episode of My Story Matters. Tonight we will feature a discussion between Larissa Porteous and her grandmother, Jane Gollmer. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hello, my name is Larissa, and I'm 19 years old. I'm a student at the University of Windsor. Currently, I'm in the Visual Arts program, and I'm here with my grandma. I'm interviewing her today about her life and about her struggles in life, and we're just going to talk about it.
Well, thank you for inviting me, my beautiful granddaughter Larissa. I'm very flattered that you still want to be involved with me and think that I'm interesting enough that I can do a good interview with you, of course.
So, I guess we'll start off with some basic about me facts. So, could you name 3 words that best describes you?
Well, I think I am definitely an extrovert, and I would say I'm creative and caring. But what I'd like to know is what words you would use for me.
I'm going to take a couple from you because I liked your answer. I'd say I'm also caring. I think that's a huge trait our family shares. We're very involved in each other's lives. I think I'm also organized. I get that from you and Mom.
Yes.
I'd say I'm very enthusiastic about a lot of things. Those are my 3 words. What's an interesting fact about you that others might not know?
Well, it's hard to say, but I don't think very many people know that when I was a teenager, I used to hold seances in our old scary house. And we'd get together on Saturday nights, a whole bunch of us, sometimes as many as 20, and scare the heck out of each other. But I always thought that there was really a ghost in that house. And didn't sleep very well because I was always thinking this ghost was going to be getting me.
It's really funny that you say that because that was a very common activity for me and Michaela when we were younger. Our friends had a Ouija board, and we would lay out her candles and everything, and we almost burned the house down one time, and I don't think Dee was very happy with us. But I think that's very... I did not know that about you. That's a...
No, as an adult, it's not something that
you bring up.
I'm sharing that much.
So I'd say a fact that others might not know about me is that I'm currently exploring the world of natural medicine, and it's becoming an interest of mine, like naturopath medicine, and I've been doing a lot of research about it. So
wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, it was mostly in like the last year. I've been having a couple medical issues, so instead of taking medication, I wanted to try something more natural, and I found that that's what's working. Also, on the topic of seances, I've been exploring pagan religion and stuff like that, and learning about old religion, and yeah, that's been my other interests in the last
Well, I
year
would
or
think
so.
that I would say that we have spiritual personality.
I'd say so.
And it comes, I think, with being extroverts and interested in
A lot of things.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven and earth.
Mm-hmm. What are things that you enjoy doing most at the moment?
Well, I love to read. We were away for 2 weeks. I read 11 books.
11 bucks.
Yeah, I love my book club. I enjoy my sorority and all the charity things that go along with that. I play bridge 4 times a week. I love golfing and gardening and traveling and people.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your talents that you'd say?
Well, I think I'm very creative, I've been told. I think I'm a very sympathetic and caring person. I'm really organized and like to have everything perfect. I'm a good trainer and a good writer. And I have a good memory. I've always had a really good memory. And I think I'm a pretty good cook.
I'd say so.
What would you say?
I'd say you're a pretty good cook. I was just telling Mom the other day, I said, I really want some pierogies. And she's like, I can't make them as good as Grandma. You're going to be disappointed. And then I don't remember when it was as well, but we were eating pasta, and we had, I don't know, maybe it was ossobuco or something like that. But she made the rice separately from the, like, this sauce tastes exactly like Grandma's. She was like, thank you. I missed your cooking a lot, so I'm happy that I could. And then I was also telling her that this summer I want to get together with you. I want to learn how to make pierogies. Okay. I don't love the food.
We'll have a marathon and try to make enough to keep your dad going for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's not looking too great. I think he needs some pierogies.
Okay, got it. And what do you think your special talents
special
are?
talents?
I mean, we know are. But you're so modest.
Yeah, I try not to boast. I don't.
You don't. You never. You're very modest about your accomplishments.
So I'd say some of my best talents are I'm very artistic. I mean, I'm in visual arts. I'd say I'm pretty musical. I've been doing music things. I used to teach people how to play the ukulele in grade school. That was my thing. I still don't know how to play ukulele anymore, but it's okay. And I'd say I'm getting pretty good at writing. I don't know, I've been doing pretty well on some of my writing assignments, and generally, I think it's a skill that's accumulating over time. I used to be horrible at writing. Yeah, I don't know, it's hard to think of off the top of my head, like what my like greatest are. I try to expand. I try not to stay in one area for too long, because I find that it gets a bit repetitive and boring, so I like to kind of branch out. So I guess I'd say I'm a master of none at this point.
No, but every time I talk to you, you tell me about something new that you become involved in.
This is true. I guess if not charity, community service is and teaching. I like teaching a lot, and instructing, directing SpongeBob, as you know, with WeCap. So I'm really enjoying that, and I'm really excited for next year with Matilda. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be fun. So, yeah. So whereabouts do you live right now? And where?
I live in Amherstburg, but I was born in Winnipeg and lived there for 42 years. Then we lived in Calgary for 6 years before we came to Amherstburg.
How long have you been living in Amherstburg?
20 years.
20 years. So it's longer than we have, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You had your first birthday in our house.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And what language do you speak?
Only English
Only
fluently.
Have you ever considered taking French or any other?
Well, in Manitoba, there's such a huge, a quarter of it is all French. So we got French from grade 4, so until grade 12. But I wouldn't say I'm fluent in French. And I have taken Italian, and I took Japanese for 3 years when preparing for, I was installed as international president of an organization in Japan, so I took Japanese for 3 years.
And I know you took Latin as well.
Oh yeah, I took Latin for 4 years in high school too.
Yeah, I wish they did Latin in high school. I think that would be. Well, I think I'd be better off doing Latin.
It's valuable for
for
writing and for language.
It's
arts things.
Totally sidetracked, but I just took my Roman civilization midterm yesterday, right? And so the entire first page was all Latin terms. And if I hadn't taken Latin, I would not know what a civitas was. Wouldn't have known. And I guessed, and I think I'm gonna do okay because I took Latin, so it was useful. So what's your highest level of education?
High school. But I did, I'm a registered parliamentarian. I studied parliamentary law for 7 years. And then I was involved with a public speaking organization, and so became a professional accredited trainer and became international president. And we had 27 regions in 15 countries. And then I did, worked as a private trainer. And in the late 90s, the Manitoba government made it mandatory to teach public speaking in schools. So I was hired to train teachers and prepare a curriculum for teachers and students. So that was very successful. And then I had to move to Calgary. But then I taught creative writing in schools in Calgary.
So to teach in schools, because it's very different now. I have a couple friends who are in the English and teaching. Do you need to go to teachers college, or could you just be, or do you need any accreditation?
Well, I got accreditation because I had to do certain things and be accredited and for years before I finally achieved the level that I could teach public speaking.
Okay.
But it wasn't just speaking; it was writing skills and communication skills.
Okay. That's I mean, I guess it's similar to what we have now, but you kind of just go from high school right into that.
Yeah.
There isn't much buffer in the middle. Do you identify with a particular faith?
No.
Do you identify with a particular culture, or?
Well, my father was Ukrainian and my mom was Italian, so I feel very much in touch with both those cultures.
Did you play any sports in?
Yeah, basketball, and volleyball, and badminton, and golf, and I love most sports.
When I found out that you played basketball, I was really surprised, to be honest. Not very many people I know play basketball, and usually they're not very serious about it. But when I found out my grandma used to play basketball, I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
In fact, all through high school, my best friend and I had basketball every day at 6:30 in the morning and after school every day.
As you know, I'm not the most athletic person. That's Madeline and Lily. They're the more athletic people.
You have other attributes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I dance, and I'm actually, me and Braden are picking up a new sport. We're doing fencing now. I think I did tell you about that. So it's long sword fighting. So that's our new hobby that we're doing.
How is it going?
Well, it's been a little bit cold, and it hurts a lot. So I have. So it's okay. We've been kind of waiting for it to be nicer out, and I'm getting gloves, so I won't be using my bare hands. But it's been fun, and it's just something for us to do together that's active. But yeah, that's my extent of sports. I remember Papa trying to teach me how to play softball, and what a disaster that was.
Well, all I can say is you can blame your mother because he had the same difficulties.
Trying to get her to do a
trying to
somersault.
teach her softball, although she did play.
True. Well,
She
she was the
also
umpire.
got hurt quite a bit.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you consider water, what is that called? Water aerobics?
Oh yeah.
Pro at that. The dancing in the water. Oh yeah. So now on to life history, and I know you talked a little bit about ITC,
Yeah.
and was there anything more you wanted to?
Well, I actually had almost forgotten this, but I had a cable TV monthly show on public speaking when we lived in Winnipeg. It was a hoot, really. We had 28 minutes straight, and we hardly had any time to practice. It was other people that were involved and belonged to one of the public speaking clubs. So we did everything from public speaking. I'm registered parliamentarian, so we did parliamentary law and meeting management. That sometimes we'd have a fashion show, but there were a lot of boo-boos, and at the end of them we just would laugh sometimes.
So
but it was very popular.
Were you like the host or just a part of it?
I managed it, so people would do a presentation or have a workshop or something, or I would, and I'd script it and I'd kind of direct it, but it was always, very briefly rehearsed, and then I'd moderate it, and it was on for years. Your mom was involved in it; she was in a number of them.
Oh,
and we, 3 years later, people would say they saw one of them. But, when you think about how many people watch the shopping channel for hours, or Swamp People and things like that, I guess it's not that much of a surprise.
So, could you tell me a little bit about your life history, where you grew up? So you grew up in Transcona. Could you talk about a little bit of your...
It's a suburb of Winnipeg, and it was named after the Trans-Canada Railway, which was centered there. So there were a lot of Ukrainian people and Italian people and other immigrants who actually started the railroad in the early 1900s. So my dad worked there for 42 years, and most of my friends' parents, but it was very much a working class town. We lived about a block from the shops, as they called it, so I got, listen to trains 24 hours a day. But, it was just an ordinary growing up. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had everything we wanted, and my best friend lived next door, and my cousins lived on the other side, and we just had a very happy childhood.
What would you say was your greatest adventure in your childhood?
In my childhood, my greatest adventure? Well, one time I was walking with my cousin, and it was winter in Winnipeg, and I was wearing my snowsuit, and I stepped on a piece of ice, and it was actually a manhole without a cover, and I fell through the ice. Oh, right through. Like, covered my head.
Mm-hmm.
So my cousin yelled at me and told me I'd get my snowsuit wet, and then she ran home. So I just I don't know how I somehow managed. The edges were iced.
Mm-hmm.
I did manage to get out.
That's good.
And then I came home, and she was right. I got a spanking for getting my snowsuit wet, but I've thought of that over the years, and it was amazing I didn't die. So I guess that was a big adventure.
I've heard some pretty bad stories about winters in Winnipeg.
Oh, yeah.
And like Mom's told me a couple of her friends getting hurt. And Dad has told me winters in Calgary, how many people he knows that they've jumped into snowbanks and broken their limbs and things like that.
Or what's very popular on the corners, the snow plows plow a lot of snow, and it's ideal for making snow forts.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems every winter in Winnipeg, some child gets
Stuck.
trapped under there and suffocates.
Yeah,
It's a thing that you really wouldn't think of in other places.
No, not here.
No.
So, what do you think the most significant event is you've ever witnessed?
Well, the birth of all 4 of my grandchildren had changed my life. It had a profound effect on me. So I never dreamed it could be like that. But I guess when I was ITC president and I was able to travel around all over the world, so many countries, and I learned so much about the people there and the culture firsthand, because many of the members hosted me in their homes and gave me private tours, so I saw the real thing. I didn't see things that were at resorts or in hotels. I got to see
You got to live like a local and everything.
different
Yeah.
countries in Africa, and how each of them had their own issues and their own strengths and their own disappointments. You know, in Malawi, going on a Range Rover down a rough road, and people on either side were living on pieces of cardboard or tin, but everybody drove as fast as they could, because if they stopped, they could be murdered. I met lots of people whose neighbors had been murdered. I stayed with these people who had plexiglass, like bulletproof glass, on the windows of their home, because they were white farmers that had been chased off. And when I was in Greece, they made it very clear that Greece is the seat of oration. And when you did a workshop with them, they all talked all the time. They all had their voice. And then in Japan, it was the opposite. They all were note takers. They kept the trains running, but they were not vociferous. They didn't speak up. So that was an adventure, going to all these different countries and seeing that. But not as wonderful as watching my grandchildren be born.
Yeah, that's my probably the greatest thing that I've ever witnessed. I mean, I haven't lived very long. I've only lived for about 19 years. And in those 19 years, I mean, I've had a very good life. I grew up very nicely, and I'd say I had a really great childhood, and I have a really great family. But probably the greatest thing I've ever been a part of was seeing Michaela grow up. And even though she's only 3 years younger than me, I feel like she's like my twin. And I like being able to see her grow up and helping her through issues. And I remember the day that we were in the hospital, and she, I was running down the hallway, I have a sister. I was so excited. And she's like one of the greatest things in my life. And I love her very much. So.
Well, and she adores you, thinks that there's nothing like you in the world.
I'm happy that she's becoming such a good person, and she was really struggling with school and grade school. I think high school has really helped her so much, and I mean, I'm sure you can see just the progression in her. She used to be so shy, and you wouldn't, like, you see her today, you see her how she is at rehearsal, and with her friends, and you would never guess that she couldn't speak to anybody unless they spoke to her first. You would just never guess that. She's very lively now. She never used to be lively, and so I'm happy that she's kind of found her space, found her people, and found who she is, and I'm so proud of her for it, because she's just becoming such a nice person.
Well, you have always been there for her. You've always been at her back, encouraging her, and so you get a lot of credit for the person she's become.
Yeah.
Not all sisters are like that, you know.
No, this is true. I do know some pretty questionable sisterly relationships. So I'm happy that we are very close. I'm happy that all of the cousins are close.
Yes.
And involved with each other. And I'm always excited to see them on family reunions and everything like that. There's never a dull moment. Are there any other highlights that you wanted to talk about that happened in your life, or?
Well, not offhand.
Is there anything?
Just every time you and the other girls tell me about some success you've had or some joy that has been brought in your life, it just was reflected with me. That's what I live for. Is for you guys to be happy and move on to be very successful, happy people. That's it.
Well, you make us very happy as well. We owe a lot of that to you.
Oh, I'm just lucky that, you know, you're 19, Madeline's going to be 19 soon, and I can't believe you still want to hang out with me sometimes.
Well, you're a cool grandma, so
Oh, thank you.
you're pretty cool. Is there anything that you regret not doing?
You know, I just feel like I've been so lucky. I've had wonderful friends who saw something in me and encouraged and tutored me and were behind me to encourage me to do a lot of things in my life I never even dreamed other people did. And I don't have any regrets about the way my life turned out. I've known my husband since he was 12. He's the love of my life. We're going to be married 49 years this year. And I've been blessed because of his love and encouragement. I can't think of any regrets that I have. And just a wonderful family.
Do you have any advice for me?
Just keep being the wonderful, kind, caring, smart person that you are, and you will succeed in anything you try to do. I love you very much.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you for doing this with me, because I will invite you to all of my interviews for the rest of my life.
Oh, I can't wait.
You have to write a lot. Sorry. That was our interview. I'm Larissa Porteous, and this is my grandma, Jane Gollmer. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed our interview.
It's so interesting to hear a discussion between generations like that, and same stories but told in different ways kind of thing, how one person remembers it, how the granddaughter would remember it. So it was really great to hear from Larissa and from Jane. We hope you enjoyed this episode of My Story Matters. Thank you to New Horizon Senior Program for making this all possible.